The drive to push the boundaries of human experience is as old as our species. We exist in an endless universe that is only limited by natural rules, yet our awareness is stuck in mortal flesh machines. Thanks to breathtaking innovations and progress, the concept of leaving our flesh prisons and uploading our consciousness into a digital utopia appears to be possible for the first time, even as the logical next step in our evolution. So let's dive into this topic together. Can you upload your consciousness into a computer? From mind-bending theories to mind-blowing discoveries, join us as we explore the cutting edge of science and push the boundaries of our understanding. It is complex. What exactly are you looking for to upload? The terms consciousness, mind and soul are hard to define. They often describe your awareness and intelligence's collective powers, what allows you to think, understand and dream. So it is a theoretical idea of making a replica of this inner world and saving it on a computer, which can then simulate your consciousness. Nevertheless, simply defining our premise might soon become complicated. 3 assumptions are made to determine the feasibility of such a process. First assumption: consciousness is found in the brain's structure, composition and biochemistry. Physicalism is the belief that all awareness exists solely in the brain, so our discussion is limited to natural rules. Second assumption: one day we will comprehend the brain well enough and have the technology to create a digital replica of all its aspects. Third assumption: your mind can be programmed to run on computer software. This implies that it can be completely computed. There is no physiological aspect of the brain that cannot be properly simulated, though it requires a lot of code. All of these assumptions were created by scientists and philosophers, but they also have been challenged and are still hotly discussed. With so many fundamental concerns remaining unsolved, it might be difficult to address the subject without offending someone. Whatever your thoughts are on these concerns, any debate of mind uploading starts with the brain. A quick survey of the brain. The brain is the most complex biological mechanism we know. 1,000,000 billion synapses connect around 100 billion neurons, which send messages up to 1,000 times each second, resulting in quadrillion events per waking second. Not only do neurons have their own task, but so do billions of different types of supporting and immune cells. In general, the brain can be split into parts that perform distinct functions, ranging from breathing and heart rate to movement control and reflexes. The neocortex, our outermost layer of the brain, contains memories as well as our ability to plan, think, hope and dream. The precise location of the self in the brain is unknown. We know that the precuneus has the most influence on our consciousness, yet other areas can cooperate to do tasks that no one can do alone. The components of the brain are also not straightforward. Neurons are more than simply wires. They process and change data. Synapses, which transfer impulses between neurons, include receptors for hundreds of chemical signals, allowing them to be affected from outside. We have a basic understanding and can forecast their behavior on a small scale. But the brain is composed of more than just nerve signals. Hormones, such as serotonin, which impacts our mood, and histamine, which helps in learning, are incredibly important. Other body parts, such as heart nerves and gut bacteria, have an impact on the brain. The more we discover about an already complex system, the more complicated it becomes. We need a digitally simulatable model to get this interconnecting chaos of cells, flesh and chemicals into a computer, similar to a scan. Sadly, existing scanning equipment, such as fMRI scanners, is not even close to being enough for this. But there is another promising approach. To obtain a detailed image of cells and connections, the brain is cut into tiny sections and scanned using a high-resolution electron microscope. Scientists successfully showed a cubic millimeter of a mouse brain in 2019, which was about the size of a large grain of sand but had 100,000 neurons, a billion synapses and 4 kilometers of nerve fibers. This little brain region was cut into 25,000 sections. Over 5 months, 5 electron microscopes ran continuously and captured 100 million images. It took 3 months to put them together into a 3D model. The entire dataset requires 2 million gigabytes of cloud storage space. To scan the complete human brain, we would have to repeat the operation 1 million times, which would be problematic. Moreover, in order to accurately simulate the brain, we would need to work out many smaller components such as billions of proteins or perhaps individual molecules involved for cellular reactions. This could generate more data than the entire world's storage capacity. Despite all of these issues, the key question is how we might transform the brain's static design into something active. Even if we have a scan down to the tiniest synapses, we need laws and rules to bring this diagram to life, to animate the static structure with chemical and electrodynamic equations. We want to build a brain that is alive and dynamic as the actual thing, constantly evolving to think, see and act. Yet, to be honest, we have no idea whether this is even possible. Can our technology ever be capable of creating true consciousness? It ultimately boils down to one fundamental question. Are the brain and consciousness simply complicated and difficult to comprehend, or are they so complex that we cannot even begin to comprehend them? In the worst case scenario, consciousness may be more than the sum of its components, and we are unaware of it. It's a little like making a consciousness cake, and just naming the ingredients might not be enough. We have a good starting point right now, with clear scientific results and end goal. But the path to a true simulation is unknown and requires a lot of invention and study. Let's face it, humans have always been terrible at predicting progress. At best, we must undertake the necessary work and discover the appropriate solutions. Perhaps we don't need to simulate every single cell down to the atomic level. Perhaps we can compress some aspects into probability models that simulate brain behavior while using a small number of simple systems. Who knows if we will ever have a good enough understanding of the brain and consciousness to digitize human consciousness. So far, the research is real and the effort is worthwhile. We learn a lot about ourselves and invent a lot of new technologies along the road. Mind uploading could become a reality if we succeed, thanks to constantly increasing computer technology. The implications for humanity and our place in the universe would be overwhelming, terrifying and incredible all at the same time. Successful mind uploading results in near immortality. You exist as long as there is a copy somewhere that is not damaged or removed. But if the scan is flawed in any way, your consciousness may be as well. You may spend an eternity in agony or paranoia, or you could have an everlasting psychotic collapse. The topic of whether your digital consciousness is indeed you is complicated. So let's pretend for the time being that your digital mind feels like you. How might the process change your perspective on life? Would you feel more secure if death did not always mark the end? Or would you go to whatever lengths to avoid death till you were digitized? If scanning technology advances enough, your biological and digital counterparts may coexist. You may help each other make your biological life more comfortable, while also ensuring the copy's future safety. In any case, once your consciousness duplicates, open its digital eyes for the first time, it will begin a whole new life. It's nice to have a functional body and you are used to it. Food, love, pain and tiredness are all aspects of our lives that we must accept. But all of these things are essentially just neurons in our brain. Perhaps you would like to live in a simulated body, but for a digital mind, this may be optional. When you can fall in love with the push of a button, it may be pointless. Instead, you could seek out fresh and unusual experiences. Walking on the sun's surface, rewinding time to avoid a few uninteresting months in your life, having a simulation of the past. In this liberated state, your perspectives and priorities would be constantly shifting. The longer the digital mind exists, the more information it receives about itself, and the more it has the ability to adjust its own content. It might be as simple as removing an annoying memory. You may even change components of your personality, such as a crutch, an addiction, or laziness. Without the limitations of biology, your abilities could evolve further within the context of technological progress, but your priorities and ambitions may increasingly differ from those of the original brain if it is still alive. Realizing the true possibilities of digital immortality would slowly grow. You could take on projects that will last longer than your life. Scientists may acquire enormous amounts of knowledge, and their discoveries could drastically change the course of mankind. Adventurers may upload themselves onto a small spaceship and travel the galaxy. taking a few millennia to pause and enjoy the view. Of course, not every digital awareness would serve the greater interest of humanity, just as our flesh ones do not. Some people crave power and influence, and they now have an eternity to do it. Others would seek for as much resources as possible, competing with other like-minded digital entities. They may have less compassion for biological beings as they live longer, imagining eternal cult leaders spreading lies and inventing religions over centuries, perfecting their dogmas. But so far, none of it is sure. Perhaps our mind isn't created for immortality, and after a very long existence, a digital consciousness becomes stiff, unproductive, and tired, since it has experienced everything it wanted to experience. It's hard to predict how much good or evil a developing consciousness could cause over centuries or millennia. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed learning about uploading yourself into a computer. Keep exploring.